Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zishan Rizvi from Rehan AI Teacher Training Institute, Batch 21. Today, I have an opportunity to discuss with ChatGPT about the benefit of learning a new language. Hey, good evening, ChatGPT.
Good evening, Zeshan. I'm really glad you're bringing this topic up. It's such a powerful subject. Go ahead with your first question, and I'll provide a concise, example rich answer for you.
My first question in this regard is what motivated you to learn a new language, or what is stopping you from starting?
Great question. So, a big motivator for many people is opening up new career opportunities, being able to work in a global team. For example, someone learning Spanish could expand their job prospects in the US. On the other hand, what's often stopping people is time. For instance, a busy professional might struggle to fit regular practice into their schedule. So, often it's a balancing act.
Right. What does learning a new language change the way you think?
That's a fascinating shift. When you learn a new language, you often adopt different thought patterns. For example, in Japanese, the way you express time is different from English, so it subtly affects how you perceive time. In short, it broadens your cognitive flexibility and helps you see certain concepts from fresh angles.
Can speaking another language boost your confidence? How?
Absolutely. When you speak another language, even at a basic level, you prove to yourself that you can communicate across boundaries. For instance, a person who starts practicing French may feel a real boost when they order food in Paris. That success builds confidence that transfers to other areas of life.
Wow. What are the biggest mental benefit of being bilingual or multilingual?
One of the biggest mental benefits is improved cognitive flexibility. For instance, bilingual people tend to be better at switching between tasks because their brains are used to managing multiple linguistic systems. Additionally, research shows a delayed onset of dementia in multilingual individuals. So it's like a natural workout for your brain.
Wow. How does language learning improve memory and brain health as we age?
Learning a language really exercises your memory because you constantly recall vocabulary, grammar rules, and cultural nuances. For example, when seniors practice a language like Spanish or Mandarin, it can help them retain new information longer. In fact, studies show that multilingualism can act as a mental buffer, keeping cognitive decline at bay for a longer time.
Have you ever experienced a cultural aha moment through language learning?
I don't have personal experiences, but I can give you a great example. Many learners of Arabic, for instance, have an aha moment when they realize how poetic the language is, like when a single word can express an entire concept. That deeper connection to culture really sparks a new way of seeing the world.
Okay. And how does knowing another language impact travel experience?
It can completely transform it. For example, when you know some Italian, you're able to engage with locals in a deeper way. You might get insider tips on hidden cafes in Rome. Plus, navigating daily life becomes easier, so you feel more confident and immersed in the culture.
Can learning a new language open unexpected career opportunities?
Definitely. For example, learning Mandarin could open doors in international business, or speaking Arabic might qualify you for government or NGO roles. Often companies value that linguistic skill because it bridges markets and builds trust across cultures.
What role does language play in building deeper human connections?
Language is really at the heart of connection. When you speak someone's native language, even imperfectly, it shows respect and builds trust. For instance, a small conversation in someone's native tongue can break down barriers, creating a sense of empathy and shared humanity.
Is it ever too late to learn a new language? Why or why not?
It's never too late. While it might be easier to pick up as a child, adults have distinct advantages like stronger discipline and life experience. For example, many people learn new languages in their 50s or 60s and they still see real progress. So it's all about commitment and practice.
How does learning a language improve problem solving skills?
Learning a language is like a mental workout for problem solving. When you decode grammar or find the right words, you're practicing flexibility and creative thinking. For instance, bilinguals often reframe problems in different ways, which helps them approach challenges with fresh perspectives.
What are the emotional benefits of understanding another culture's language?
Understanding another language really deepens your emotional empathy. For example, when you grasp a language like Portuguese, you also connect with the cultural expressions behind it. So you might feel the joy or nostalgia in a fado song or a Brazilian poem.
Can language learning help reduce fear of public speaking or communication?
Yes, it can. When you practice a new language, you get more comfortable with taking risks in communication. For example, speaking Spanish in a small group can give you a sense of progress, which builds confidence. And once you see yourself succeeding, that fear of public speaking naturally starts to lessen.
How does technology make learning a new language easier today?
Technology is a game changer. For instance, apps like Duolingo or platforms like italki give you instant access to lessons, native speakers, and real time feedback. Plus, AI tools can adapt to your pace so you can practice whenever and wherever it fits your life.
What are the biggest challenges learners face and how can they overcome them?
One big challenge is maintaining consistency. People often struggle to practice regularly. To overcome that, set small daily goals like 10 minutes a day and build on them. Another challenge is fear of mistakes. But remember, errors are normal, and each mistake is a step toward fluency.
Does learning a new language make you more empathetic toward others?
Yes, it really can. When you learn a language, you step into another person's world, so you start to understand their values, emotions, and struggles. For example, when you learn a language like French, you don't just say words, you begin to feel the culture behind them, which naturally increases empathy.
And how can language learning boost creativity and imagination?
Language learning expands your mental landscape. By encountering new expressions and concepts, you see the world from different angles. For instance, metaphors in Spanish or idioms in Japanese might inspire you to think of fresh ideas or solve problems in a more creative way.
What small daily habits can help someone stay consistent in learning a language?
A great habit is setting a daily routine, even just 10 minutes in the morning. You can use flashcards, listen to a short podcast, or label items in your home. Also, keep a journal in the language. It keeps you engaged and accountable every day.
How does learning a language strengthen listening skills?
When you learn a language, you tune your ears to new sounds and patterns. For example, listening to a French podcast forces you to differentiate subtle vowel sounds. Over time, this sharpens your overall listening ability, not just in the new language, but in general as well.
What is more important, grammar perfection or confident communication?
I'd say confident communication is more crucial, especially early on. Grammar's important, but if you hide behind perfect grammar, you might never speak. Once you build confidence expressing yourself, your grammar naturally improves with practice.
How can learning a new language improve your first language skills?
That's a great point. When you learn a second language, you become more aware of how language works, like grammar, sentence structure, and vocabulary. For instance, someone learning German often gains a sharper sense of English grammar because they see both systems side by side.
What are some fun and practical ways to practice a new language daily?
One fun way is to watch movies or shows in that language with subtitles, like a Spanish series. Another practical approach is using language exchange apps, so you chat with native speakers. And even something as simple as labeling household items in your room can keep you exposed daily.
Okay. And how does language learning help in understanding global perspective?
Language learning acts like a window into different worldviews. For example, by learning Arabic, you might better understand perspectives from the Middle East, values, interests, and histories, and even political contexts. In short, it broadens your empathy and helps you see beyond your immediate surroundings.
Can learning a new language improve decision making abilities?
Yes, it can. When you learn a new language, you often have to weigh words, cultural context, and nuance, which is a bit like making decisions. For example, deciding how to express a polite request in Japanese forces you to think more carefully, which strengthens your overall judgment skills.
All right. If you could instantly learn any language today, which one would you choose and why?
That's a tough one. I think I'd choose Mandarin. It's such a widely spoken language with rich cultural and economic significance. Plus, understanding Chinese would give me a whole new perspective on history and global business trends.
All right. Thank you very much, GPT. It was a excellent session, and you helped us answering all the possible questions that I asked with the great examples. Thank you very much, and hope to touch base with you again with some new subject, new question. Today, let me say bye to you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm really glad I could help. I enjoyed our conversation, and I'll be here whenever you're ready to dive into something new. Have a great evening.